Welcome to the 5th video tutorial for the Skyrim creation kit, Navmeshing. It may sound scary, but it'll all make sense after lead level designer Jeff Brown takes us down to Navmesh Town. Jeff?
Alright, now we have to create a Navmesh for Lokir's tomb. We need a Navmesh in here because Navmesh tells actors where they can navigate, where they can walk, and what they can do. So let's first start off with recast space generation. To do that, actually we need to turn Navmesh on first. So you can hit Control E, or you can just hit this button up here on the toolbar, which brings up the Navmesh toolbar here. So for recast space generation, we actually don't have to worry about any of these buttons up here at all. We're just going to go to Navmesh, Generation, Recast Space Generation. The recast dialog window is going to pop up. Just quickly make sure that your numbers are similar to mine. I think agent radius might be 32 on yours. I think that's what it defaults to. I changed mine to 8 just to get a more detailed Navmesh. You can mess around with those values and figure out what you want. I choose 8, so this tutorial will do 8. So I'm going to hit OK. And you can see at the bottom of the screen here, it's working. And there we go. Move this up here so you can kind of see whenever I'm hitting hotkeys, you can see them working here. So recast space generation. Right now I am in the Navmesh, the normal Navmesh view mode. It's kind of tough to see the Navmesh sometimes, especially after generation. So I'm going to actually cycle through the different view modes here. There's normal mode, which I'm in right now. There's transparent mode, and there's Navmesh only mode. The hotkey for that is W, and I'm going to use W right now to go to transparent, to go to Navmesh only. So while you're Navmeshing, you'll be using this hotkey fairly often. So you might as well get used to it here, and then we'll try and go over the other hotkeys. Generally, the hotkeys are on the left side of the keyboard, just so you don't have to move your hand while you're Navmeshing. So looking at the Navmesh, it looks like a mess right now, but let's quickly clean up as much as we can, and then start Navmeshing by hand here. So I am looking at the cave section right now, and I am going to Navmesh this by hand. So let's get rid of these triangles here. You have to make sure that select vertices is on. Otherwise, if it's off, you can't actually select anything at all. The two other modes are select edge and select triangle. So select triangles on, I can actually select these triangles with the select edge mode on. You can see when I highlight, or when my mouse is over an edge, it will highlight, and vertex, you can select vertices, which is probably hard to see right there, but if I was zoomed up, you could see it. So the different hotkeys for these are select vertice is V, and select triangle is T, and select edge is G. So we have W does the view modes, and then T is triangle, V is vertice, and G is edge. So let's take care of these triangles here. I'm going to get in vertice mode with the V. I'm going to drag select everything in here, and I'm going to delete it. You can hit the delete key, or you can just hit R. Again, all the hotkeys are mainly on the left side of the keyboard, so I'm just going to hit R. It's going to delete my selection. Get rid of these guys over here, just so we have a clean palette here. All right, first things first, let's create our first triangle. To do that, you need to be in vertice select mode, which we already are, and you simply right click, that creates a vertex. You right click again, creates another one, and you notice that the previous vertex is yellow. That means it's not selected. The last one I placed is green, so it is selected. If I right click again, that previous one turns yellow and the last one turns green. So we have 3 vertices. You can drag select, and then you can hit A to create a triangle. And that creates my triangle. Even faster way of doing that is making sure, again, you're in vertex select mode. I'm going to control right click, control right click, and control right click. So again, I'm going to control right click, control right click, control right click, and then I'm going to control right click again. And let's say I wanted to continue my triangles this way, but I can't because these two vertices are highlighted. If I control right click here, it's going to create a triangle that I don't want. I'm going to hit W to go into transparent mode just so you can see it. So I created that triangle, which we don't really want there. So an easy way to do this on the fly is hit Tab. Tab just cycles through the two vertices, two selected vertices. So if you ever find yourself in that situation, just simply hit Tab, and it will get you the correct highlighted vertices there, and you can continue along. Tab, control right click, Tab, control right click, control right click, control right click, control right click. So with that, you can see how creating Navmesh by hand can actually be pretty fast. You know, you can get in a groove here. Another way to select vertices is to get into edge select mode, which is this button up here, or you can just hit G. So I hit G, I'm in edge select mode. I know that because when my cursor goes over an edge, it highlights red. Select it, doesn't do anything, but if I double left click it, it highlights the two verts and allows me to create another vert. So double left click, control right click, double left click, control right click. So you'll find yourself in certain situations where it's much easier to do that. Okay, yet another one here. If I wanted to create a triangle between two edges, you double left click, which highlights the two verts, you hold control and then double left click again. So double left click, control, double left click creates a triangle. And let's say that you have a situation where you have two verts close together. Easiest thing to do is to merge them. So to do that, you can just highlight them and hit Q, and it merges them. So what merge does is, obviously it merges the two vertices, but it's going to merge the selected vertices to the first selected vertex. So for instance, if I, for some reason, want to merge these three verts right here to this one, I'm going to select that, and then I can select my remainder. And when I hit Q, these three verts are going to merge to this one. Another way to create a triangle is if you find yourself in this situation. There are actually several ways you can go about this. I'll do a couple of them right now. You can get into edge select mode with G, double left click, and then control double left click on the edge creates two triangles. You can also select the vert, hit A, and then double left click that. Another situation you might find yourself in is you may have an edge. Let me actually go find one. I just hit Q to merge those. So let's say that you want to swap an edge. Okay, for here's an example. You want to make this edge go this way. You just select the edge and you hit S to edge swap, and S swaps the edge. You'll find yourself doing this more often when you're done with your Navmesh and you just want to clean it up. Edge swap is great for that. before I go ahead and mesh this entire cell by hand here, I am going to show you where I would clean up little sections. So after I was done meshing, I would come in and I would start removing triangles, merging triangles. Just to give you an idea of what I would do. Don't kill yourself trying to make your Navmesh as perfect as possible here. You don't have to get it right against these walls. Actually, it might even be better to bring it out a bit. But it's up to you how much you want to fine-tune your Navmesh. If you just want to get guys in there running around, you know, recast based on some quick hand Navmeshing is probably all that you need. One last thing before I Navmesh the rest of the cell is we need to get rid of these islands here. And to do that, we can use flood fill and inverse flood fill. So quickly what that does is if I get into triangle select mode up here, or T, and I click on this Navmesh, it's going to highlight every other triangle that's in this Navmesh, which should just do these things because this Navmesh isn't connected to this one here. So if I have that triangle selected and I hit F for flood fill, it's going to highlight every single triangle in that Navmesh. If I select it and hit I is inverse flood fill, hit I, it's going to select every other Navmesh besides the one that you selected. And that's great for cleaning up islands. So just looking at this, I can get rid of these islands fairly quickly. I'm going to select this Navmesh, this one. I kind of just select triangles I think I'll want to keep. By the way, I'm holding Control and left clicking triangles here. So I think I have triangles selected on all the Navmeshes that I want to keep here. Okay, and I'm going to hit I for inverse flood fill, and that selects all the islands. I'm going to hit R to delete them. Now I have a much cleaner Navmesh to start working on here. So, in the interest of time, I am going to Navmesh the rest of the cell here. One thing I used that I may have forgotten to mention is when I hit, or if I'm in edge select mode with G, you can hit G too, and you right click on an edge, it actually creates a vert. I apologize if I didn't go over that before. I may have, I can't remember. But I actually do use that quite often while I'm nav meshing by hand. So again, it's just, actually I can move that right up close. Actually, here's a great example. All right, so I have this nav mesh going up the stairs like this. I am going to get into edge select mode, and I'm going to right click on the edge, which creates a vert. And I'm going to right click on an edge right there. And then go into triangle select, R to delete. And also I nav mesh under havoc objects. An example is the cart right up here. That's a havoc object, so I just nav mesh right under it. The game handles that in runtime, so you don't have to worry about any stuff like that. Like the barrels, they're static, so obviously you nav mesh around them. I believe like the urns, these are statics, so I nav mesh around them. But like things like the pots and stuff like that, they're havoc objects, and I just nav mesh under them. And once again, the game does take care of that in runtime. During my cleanup, you can probably see that I merged quite a few verts together to clean up everything. So like right here, I would typically just merge that together and then pull these things through. Honestly, you don't really have to do that. It's just something that I've always did, and I, continue to do it here. I gotta stop. This is getting crazy here. All right, so I will leave that at that, and now we are going to check our nav mesh for warnings. To check our nav mesh for warnings, you can hit Control F or go to nav mesh, select triangle by index. Only thing we're going to have to worry about right now is check nav mesh. You check it. Okay, I found three triangles with high priority warnings. Delete all. I'm going to go triangle by triangle, so I'm going to hit no. I'm going to go to next warning, and it brought me to this triangle. Okay, for some reason doesn't like that triangle, so easiest thing to do is remake it. Remade it. Probably move him over here a little bit too. Okay, and now you can't hit next warning again. You actually have to hit check nav mesh. So I'm gonna hit check nav mesh again. Found two. I'm gonna go ahead and hit yes just to show you if I can, to see if we can spot the triangle. So I'm gonna hit yes. Deleted them all. Hey, it deleted one right next to the one I was just working on. So I will fix that one, and now we need to find the other one. So I'm going to zoom out. All right, so it deleted this triangle, so I'm just going to remake that. All right, so now once we have that, we'll check again, no warnings, hit OK. And now we need to save, and now we should generate some cover. To generate cover is pretty easy. You just need to go to Navmesh, find cover edges. They're going to show up as blue, white. White means it's max cover, blue is not. It's kind of hard to tell what your cover looks like right now. So to see it represented, you can hit draw cover under Navmesh here, and it will give you a 3D representation of your cover you just found. And the black edge, black color on this white block right here, for instance, that just means that the actor, if he's standing right here on this one, he is going to look this way to shoot. He's going to look to the left to shoot an arrow or magic or whatever. So that's all those black edges mean. The white one's max cover, the blue is like kind of crouching height here. Again, this one has a black edge to it, so that means that the NPC will take cover here and then kind of look over this way to the right and shoot arrows or magic or whatever. So that's generate cover, which is a very quick process. All right, so I know it probably went fast in the beginning with all of the hotkeys and everything. It's just like with everything, you just got to Navmesh for a little bit and you start to feel comfortable, start learning the hotkeys. Definitely go back to the wiki if you're having trouble. The wiki goes into a little bit more depth and detail. It's actually the same tutorial that I just went over. I just went in a little bit different order. I front-loaded all of the techniques in the beginning. So yeah, just a quick overview. Let me get rid of this real fast and just hit draw cover to get rid of them. So a quick overview of the hotkeys. W, you'll definitely use a lot. That cycles through the view modes. V, T, and G cycles through select vertex with V, select triangle with T, and select edge with G. Those three you'll use a lot. You'll obviously use R a lot. Q is to merge. You'll use that a lot. A is to create a triangle. So when you have three vertices selected and you hit A, that creates a triangle. You can right-click on an edge to create a vert. So edge select mode with G, and I just right-click, that creates a vert on that edge. That's very useful. And yeah, just creating triangles with control right-click, control right-click, control right-click. You'll definitely start to get into a groove, and your nav meshes you'll make your nav meshes fairly quickly. You might even prefer to do all of your nav meshes by hand instead of messing around with the auto generation. We used recast-based generation just to get our starter nav mesh, then we cleaned up by hand. And the last hotkey I believe I went over was tab, which selects the previous two verts. So I'm hitting tab right now and it's selecting between those two. So there you have it. Again, I encourage you to look at the wiki if you're having trouble, or listen to the end or the beginning of this video tutorial to learn about the hotkeys and different techniques we use here to generate or to create our nav mesh by hand.
Imagine a world where no one is on patrol. A world of lawlessness, a world of madness, a world of uninteresting AI pathing. One man, one mission, one basic encounter. Coming soon to a video tutorial near you. Visit creationkit.com for more information.